Pop Punk and Pizza podcast is presented by Pop Punk Takeout, which is a monthly subscription service that delivers merchandise from pop punk artists from all over the world directly to your door in a takeout box. You can choose two different versions. There's actually a pizza box takeout box. I said box a lot there, but they'll send that directly to your door. It's filled with awesome merchandise from artists from all over the world, or you can choose from the Chinese food takeout version as well. That one's a little less costly, so if you're on a tight budget, they've got you covered. So you can sign up today at poppunktakeout.com and make sure to follow them for updates on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Pop Punk Takeout.
I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bang a rang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.
You're listening to Pop Punk and Pizza with Jacques Lamour.
Hello and welcome to Pop Punk and Pizza podcast. I am, of course, Jacques Lamour, your host. It is so great to have you here, especially for this episode, which I am deeming a bonus episode because it's not part of our weekly live-streamed schedule. If you're not familiar, we usually live stream each episode of Pop Punk and Pizza every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time on our YouTube, our Facebook, and our Twitch accounts. But this one is completely off the air, bonus episode, a very special one. We are going to be joined by Russ Rankin, who you best known for Good Riddance, but also on his own watch, he releases solo music as well, and he's just about to release his sophomore solo album, which is called Come Together, Fall Apart. It's going to be released technically next year, January 22nd, 2022. But actually the first single, Babel, is out now that you can listen to. That's through Sbäm Records, Cursed Blessing Records in Canada. I should say Sbäm Records is for Europe, and then Say 10 Records for us here in the U.S. But also joining us is not just Russ. We actually have Bill Stevenson, who you're best known for Descendants and also The Blasting Room, and then Andrew Berlin, also from The Blasting Room, who helped make this this second solo record possible for Russ. So let's welcome Russ, Bill, and Andrew onto the podcast. Hey guys. It is so cool to have all of you here. I was super excited when Melanie hit me up about doing this. She's like, "Yeah, I think it would be cool to have everyone on, to talk about Russ's new record." And I was like, "Hell yeah, I am so down for this." So, welcome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having us.
Howdy, thanks for having us.
Of course. We should probably go around just so everyone has an idea of what you sound like. So, Russ, I'll have you go first.
Go first doing what? Just hello?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey.
Just to say hello, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, everybody.
Wait, I have a question. I'm Bill, and I'm talking now. Is this a visual thing? Can they see me picking my nose, or is it audio?
They can see you picking your nose. So if
Okay,
you're going to pick your nose...
Bill, and this is me picking my nose. Okay.
Andrew here. Hey.
So now that everyone knows sort of what everyone sounds like, and we can see Bill picking his nose. I just hope if you're going to pick your nose during this podcast that you at least find something good,
Quality, pick a winner.
Yeah, pick a winner, man. You're digging for gold, as one of my ex-girlfriends used to say when she would see me, picking my nose. And anyway, so Russ, this is your second record. Your debut solo album was almost 10 years ago already. Farewell to Catalonia, and it's such a. I got a chance to listen to the new record early, and then going back and listening to the Farewell album. There's such a. I feel like there's such a big difference. Farewell is it's more stripped down to whereas Come Together, Fall Apart has more instrumentation to it and such.
So a couple things about that. So with the first album I did with my friend Paul Miner, he helped engineer and produce it, and neither one of us had done anything like that before. So it was a lot of unknown and kind of just throwing stuff at the wall or trying things out. And we sort of had a little bit of inspiration from some of the other stuff I'd been listening to, but ultimately we really didn't have a game plan. I didn't want to make it be too much instrumentation so that when I played live it wouldn't be a completely different deal, but I also didn't want just like dude and a guitar only. And so we kind of stumbled into a little pattern of like some little electric guitar, some piano stuff here and there, and some hand percussion, and we basically just used that blueprint the whole time, which it ended up turning out, way better than I could have expected. And then that being said, like in the years since, of just playing shows and being exposed to more music, and then also kind of knowing what like Bill and Andrew could and would bring to the table, I felt we'd probably end up having something a little bit different aesthetically.
So when it came time to do this second record, when did you all like have like your first meeting about this, or how did the second album start coming into play for you, Russ? I imagine it's one of those things where it's many years in the making, because you're obviously, you're doing Good Riddance and then anything else that you have going on in your life. So it's like you're not gonna it's hard to dedicate like a ton of time just to, okay, I'm going to write a solo record now. Or maybe that's what you did in this case. I don't know.
That's kind of what I did. It was during the pandemic and there wasn't a lot going on with my band, and I had begun to sort of try to write some demos, some new Good Riddance stuff. And Stefan from Sbäm Records was hitting me up. Like, he really was a fan of Farewell Catalonia. He's a fan of my voice and my songwriting, and was really excited to try to do a solo album. And I was like, yeah, cool, but I'm not really thinking about that right now. And he was really persistent. And so I said, well, okay. And then I said, well, I want to do it at the Blasting Room, thinking that with like the high ticket, he would like kind of like bow out. And he's like, no, that sounds great. Like, let's do it. And so then I was like, I guess I better write some songs.
So did you?
How does it go? Is it like that, Andrew? Or no?
That's post like 2000, because at first it was two right hands. I think.
Well, what is it?
Is it? Eventually
is it that? On. Is it that?
There you go.
Shit. Is it that?
There we go.
That looks right.
So
Are you supposed to cuss on this or not?
Oh, you can cuss all you want.
Good.
Yeah. So did you literally say the Blasting Room just so you can get out of it and just get him off your back and think, oh, he's not going to be interested in that?
I wasn't really thinking about writing a solo album. So I was appreciative of his enthusiasm. I also really wanted to record a solo album there, like with Bill and Andrew, and I, especially because just the collective knowledge and how I felt like they could help the sound and the songs come to a better end than me just on my own trying to like suss it out. So I mean, ultimately I would have had the choice. I would have wanted to do it there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very long history with Russ. It's almost unbelievable, the history. It goes back. Good Riddance was one of the very early Blasting Room bands. We've done I know countless. We've done countless Good Riddance albums, and of course Russ and I have our band Only Crime, and now we did this solo album, and yeah, when Russ came in with the songs, we were able to kind of put the whole shoulder of the studio behind us. So there's 5 of us there, and Andrew's kind of the main engineer. I did my share of the engineering, but Andrew did the main share, and then we also had Jonathan and Chris who helped out with some ancillary instrumentation and stuff, and then Jason mixed it. So it's like we kind of just have an onslaught of human power there, and it's also a bunch of people that trust each other and that trust Russ with his songs and with his very, very important lyrics, and Russ trusts us with, you know, being able to handle things. And so it's just really it's just a great time together. We always have such a good time together, and everybody knows everybody. We're all best friends. Everybody enjoys each other's company, and it's just, you know, this is like what are we talking, 24-year long relationship.
Do you remember the first time you and Russ met, Bill? Do you remember that first time? Or maybe Russ remembers.
Russ, maybe. Oh, I remember. I was staying at Sean's house, and you guys were coming over to practice, and it was pre-production for Operation Phoenix. I would have met you that morning, right?
Yeah, like, well, there's a time where we played a New Year's Eve show in San Diego, and the Descendants played, and Bill was outside and kind of like wandered over to us and was commenting about our van and asking us questions about it. But I don't know that he would recollect that specific.
No, but that
wasn't
Russ,
like
New Year's
that wasn't
show,
like my name
you're
is
on
so and
crack.
so.
You're on crack. That New Year's show was in the middle of pre-production. Like you guys, we were doing pre-production in Santa Cruz, and then we all drove down, and you guys played that New Year's show that big arena.
This was the New Year's show that you guys played. We didn't formally know, but like, no, like officially, like meeting Bill. Yeah, he's right. Like we were doing it was our first album with the Blasting Room after many albums with a different studio, and he had shown such an interest that he came to our town and sat in on our practices and like really rolled up his sleeves and got involved with the whole process. And I was really we were all starstruck, but I was also really, really impressed with that level of interest in what we were doing and that level of like wanting to know how it all works. And it really made an impression on all of us, a really positive one.
So what were some of the things?
But now here we are 25 years later, and I don't do as much of the heavy lifting anymore. Andrew and Jonathan and Chris and Jason, you know, they do a lot more of the heavy lifting these days. I'm about just this far shy of being a figurehead.
You're the investor, or the
silent partner.
The silent partner. Yeah, if you will.
Silent but deadly essay.
So, Andrew, when did you first meet Russ, or when did you start at the Blasting Room?
Probably making coffee for the guys when Russ did their first album there. I don't know exactly. I think I've been here since about 2000. It's been about 20 years.
And so those early what do you remember from those early days of getting coffee? While Good Riddance was...
I still remember the smell of walking in the building and the posters on the wall. I mean, maybe a lot like the when people get their first impression walking in, it still feels very visceral to me. And then just, loud guitars echoing down the hallway, drums echoing down the hallway. I was just happy to be a part of all the records. I wanted to do the best job making coffee I could back then.
And how did you make that coffee so special?
Well, I don't know if there was anything special about the coffee. It's one of the traits you need here. I mean, there's 3 pots getting made per day.
I'll tell you, on the second Good Riddance album, Russ bought us a special coffee pot, which is still the model that we use today with the carafe that doesn't have any heat below it, you know?
Okay.
Russ was the one that ushered us into that, and he also ushered us into the very, very bold, dark, greasy beans, the dark Italian and the dark French. So now that we're actually talking about this, Andrew, Russ had a huge influence on the Blasting Room's coffee situation.
Yeah. And still, he.
And I don't know if you know this, but when he comes now, he descales our coffee pots. He did it the other day when he was there. No, he didn't. He gets that descaler stuff and runs it through.
How do you? So, what does descaling a coffee pot consist of? I've never heard of that.
So but like over use, a coffee system will build up like scale and like just crud inside that makes there be less coffee from the same amount of water as there used to be, and the coffee also tastes more raler. And so when you do that, you have more coffee and it tastes better.
So is it just like a matter of running through like a certain type of like chemical?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa. What happened to my thing?
Oh, I don't know. I can see you.
Still here for me.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I do that in yeah. I mean that's just because I feel like no one probably else ever does it there.
Jonathan does it.
Those guys drink a lot of fucking coffee.
See, Russ, now we have a OCD guy. Now we have Jonathan.
But pre-Jonathan, like it would be like
there'd be maggots in there. Yeah,
you put 24 cups of water in and get like a drop of coffee out.
And it's like home coffee pot now.
And it's like these guys expect me to do vocals today? Fuck no! Like
no, I try to earn my keep. I wash dishes and like vacuumed in there because I was staying in the studio. Like I slept in the lounge area, so I was trying to earn my keep. I wasn't trying to be a slacker. Yeah.
You see, you and I would probably enjoy having coffee together because that's the kind of coffee I love too. Is the Italian or the French, the darker roasted coffee. Like that's what I'm all about. That's right up my alley.
I also like to get coffee drinks from Starbucks that cost way too much money. Bill's been giving me a hard time for like 2 decades about it.
Poser.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do.
You should see how much money I spent on Uber Eats. Andrew knows. Uber Eats would bring Starbucks every morning to the studio, like every day. And it was like I looked at the total price and I was so much shame. But what can you do?
Until you descaled the coffee pot.
No, I would drink that too. Like that would be
you?
first.
Okay.
Yeah. Like blasting room coffee first, and then when Andrew comes and it's time to do guitars, then it's like Uber Eats guy comes and brings more coffee with like soy milk and stuff in it.
There you go. I'm guilty of the same thing. I usually make coffee at home in the morning, and then when it's mid-afternoon or whatever, I'm buying coffee from somewhere, and it's like a habit that I can't get out of. It's a terrible habit, of spending that coffee. So
if that's the worst thing you're doing with your life, you're probably doing okay.
Well,
coffee's better than food. We've got now a food truck. We have a brewery next door to the studio now, and there's a different food truck there every single day. I'm already bad at packing my lunch, so
dude,
not good.
What are they? What kind of food does the food truck have?
Everything. There's so many in Fort Collins. We've got there's sandwich places, Mexican places. There's it's all, pizza places.
Oh man,
food trucks are great.
Yeah, now I'm hungry. Speaking of food or just that makes me think of smells. Andrew, you mentioned like this smell of the blasting room, and what is that smell that you're talking about? Because when you said that, I'm like, okay, it's like.
I'm blessed with a poor sense of smell, so that's maybe part of why I've enjoyed it.
So it smells. Are you saying it smells bad?
Well, I don't think so, but I do have a poor sense of smell.
Okay, so you think it smells.
It was just the experience of it all combined.
But you can't. like describe that smell for us that have not stepped foot in the blasting room? Like, what is that smell? I gotta know. Bill's like shaking his head. I just gotta know. You have me very curious now.
I shouldn't have said the word smell.
All right. I'll let you off the hook on that one. So Russ, when it came time, you said to Stefan from Sbäm, okay, I'll do a solo album with you. I want to do it with the Blasting Room. Then what happened next?
Then I had to like pick up my guitar and write some songs. So that's what I did. Like I went right to work, and then as I demoed, I put stuff in a Dropbox folder that like Bill had access to, and Stefan also, so we could sort of hear roughly what was going on. And then I was just sort of hitting Bill up to try to, like, as the songs filled up in the demo folder. I respect Bill's time, and he's a really probably the busiest person I know. And I was just hoping that he would have a chance to like listen to the demo and have good notes, and have like each song individually, but also collectively as like a thought. I trusted him to help me kind of like coalesce and be figuring out like what some songs needed, what would be the best approach, things like that. So that was really it. Just like kept writing songs and just adding demos to the folder. And I always want to have like too many so that we can like pick and choose and be really like decisive. So yeah, I was just writing a lot of songs.
What was, to your memory, what was the first one that came up? Was it Babel?
No, it was. I mean, I wrote some that didn't make it, and those were probably the first ones.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell you of what made the cut. I couldn't tell you what the first one was.
What was your recollection of first hearing those demos, Bill? And Andrew, did you get a chance to hear them as well, or?
I did. Yeah, I loved them. I got me very excited to make the record.
What in particular sticks out in your mind when you like first, and even if it wasn't one that made the cut, what's your recollection of that first demo you got to hear from Russ?
Me? I think Abolish. Well, am I saying song titles? Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah. Abolish the Senate. I remember Next Best Thing, and I think Fractured Legacy were the first three I heard, and I thought they were like the diversity in those three was really awesome, and there was like a rawness that I didn't want to get in the way of, when we were adding things. But I just remembered listening to it while I was driving, and got me really stoked to be a part of it.
And how about you, Bill?
Yeah, I was definitely more drawn to the less kind of overtly political stuff. Maybe drawn to the more personal stuff, like our last conversation, or considering the end. Just a lot of those more the more kind of dark ones. Let's see. I'm thinking about even Siobhan or Fractured Legacy, like the ones that are about something that either is, I don't know, like maybe not as obvious of a political observation or personal observation as, say, abolish the Senate. Yeah, I'm drawn into like personal stories. Somebody died, somebody's gonna die, somebody, broke up with someone and they're devastated. Somebody's having a tough go. Somebody's trying to stay sober. You know, these kinds of things. That's the stuff that seems to attract me. And even if I'm delusional by thinking that they're all, you know, true, real stories that are out there in the world, you never know, because some people have the ability to just write songs. You know, they're poets. But you know, I like to think they're like really. This is like a life or death matter for the person that wrote it. Like they were gonna shoot themselves if they didn't write it. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And for you, Russ, does it come from just things you're making up, or does it come from personal places, or maybe it's a friend's story or a family member's story? Where do you usually draw these inspirations to write?
For the types of songs that Bill's talking about that I happen to write, it's generally something either like directly that I've gone through that I may like write vis-a-vis like it's happening to somebody else, just to like be a step removed, or it's somebody that I know. It's usually somebody that I know or have known in the past, and then in the case of Siobhan, it's like it's like a different name, like or it's a person who is basically an amalgam of several different experiences that were generally similar, but like kind of with like that drew the same emotions, or the same kind of like outcome. But yeah, like most of the stuff, the songs that Bill mentioned are either like directly personal to me, or are like about people that I know or have known.
And with that being said, what was the hardest one to write for you? Did any of these, and I'm sure all of them do, because they strike such, every single song on this record, it strikes such a chord inside of you, whether it's something emotional or when it comes to like abolish the Senate, you just feel that rebellion. Or, you know, obviously like songs like Last Conversation, that's obviously the more emotional end. But when it came down to start writing these, what was the hardest one?
So do you mean hardest like it tapped my abilities as a songwriter?
Yeah, I guess, well, I guess that could go two ways. I guess it could be as hard as a songwriter, or maybe hardest emotionally. Either one.
Last Conversation was tough, just because of the subject, and it was also like the toughest to actually sing. Like when it came time to do vocals, it was tougher than I thought it would be. Like I thought I was cool with it, and then but like writing it, I wanted to make sure that I didn't like turn it into like, you know, like some big epic, because like everybody goes through this, but I also wanted to make sure that I did the event justice, and didn't skimp on anything. Like I wanted it to be simple, and to still have some hooks and sound good, but I wanted to make sure that the purity of the emotion of those things were not lost somewhere by trying to make some grandiose spectacle.
You mean like a grandiose kind of sappy ballad kind of thing? Is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
or I wanted to make sure that it stayed relatively Spartan, but still like pleasing to the ear, I guess.
I think you nailed it, honestly, because
Thank you.
that's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking in my mind, if Russ Rankin was actually going to write a ballad, he wouldn't. It would sound like this, you know, like, and I think you captured that.
I mean, it would sound like a ballad, but it would be about something really fucked happening.
Well, there you go. Yeah. um, and getting to, you know, abolish the Senate, since we have brought that up, I mean, I'm really curious to hear that there's so many. That's one of the politically fueled songs on this record, and I guess I'm just wondering, what would what would the United States look like if it was in Russ's hands? Because obviously you're talking about abolishing the Senate, and I guess I'm just wondering where that comes from in your mind. What?
Well, I mean, we don't have enough time, and there's two other guys here with a wealth of information for everyone to hear, so I'm not gonna get off on that. That song is basically about my opinion that the United States Senate has done nothing but harm to our country, and that it allows for the minority to hold the majority hostage time and time again, and accounts for things like the filibuster. And we probably wouldn't have Citizens United were it not for the Senate. We wouldn't have had President George W. Bush or President Donald Trump if not for the U.S. Senate. The easiest explanation is it allows the minority to hold the majority hostage, and I don't particularly feel that's a really sensible form of shaping policy.
Okay, you summarized that well, and I completely understand. We can go forever and ever on it, but I was just curious in your mind when you say abolish the Senate, where that comes from. So it completely explains it. So getting back to getting the early demos of these songs, sending them to Bill and to Andrew, when it finally came down to, okay, we're going to do this. What was that first meeting like? What was that first day like with everybody in the room?
Well, I think. Go ahead.
We tend to just start working. The idea of some kind of a grand plan, a grand strategy, that lives, I think for me, that lives in some kind of fairy tale land. We just roll up our sleeves and we start working, and then Andrew's got an idea, and then Russ has an idea, and then I got an idea, and then we get Jonathan, we get Chris, we get Jason involved, and it's like we get some ears on this that have a lot of musical experience, and things start happening. We didn't go into it with a pre-calculated approach to it. It was, you react. I feel like a good song, you react to it, and you react to it, and it makes you feel something, and then you do something because of how it makes you feel. And that's how the recording goes. Andrew could probably speak way better to this than me, because he did more than engineering.
Perfectly. And I think our ideas are like feedback too. Like when you're getting feedback out of a guitar, like it's something starts to happen based on that song, and then you take it, you have the spark of an idea, and then another one of us will feed off of that and evolve the idea, and then another person will hear that, and by the time you're at the fifth iteration of that idea, which is really fitting to the song, hopefully, like you wouldn't have gotten there. There's no way to predict ahead of time you would have gotten there. And I think a lot of the ideas and instrumentation on this record, I think we did the lyrical content was or the emotion of the song would drive what instrumentation was in the song. What does this song need? We wouldn't want to, one of the pitfalls maybe of making some people will make an acoustic record and think you have to transpose everything and elaborate string arrangements on everything. You have to change, put everything on different instruments. But with this record, I think we just asked each song, presented what it needed, and what does next best thing need. And it was like Bill said, it was very much just getting to work, and it develops quite naturally.
Like a good example was, I don't remember what the song title is, because I know these songs by a whole different thing, like kind of more working titles or just so.
Yes.
But the one where when I was hearing the lyrics and I said, well, what if I do like a little military drum here because of what the lyrics were saying, and then that's like an example where you're just like in the moment, you're like, okay, well, what about a military drum, or what about a piano note here? Like that's kind of how we work. We're I would be lying to you if I said we had it all planned out and the music scores and like, yeah, we don't work like that. It's very, very like roll up your sleeves and drink some coffee.
Or in Next Best Thing, Russ wanted to add some thickening to the chorus. So he actually went out into the control room with the amp right in front of him and sat right in front of it. And that guitar, on our way to the chorus, the guitar was just squealing and feeding back, and it kind of like presented itself in a way that it just gave this big intensity, and I think made what Russ was singing about in the chorus hit all that much harder. I mean, it was a big I thought I was really happy with the way that and a lot of things like that turned out.
And I think everything you're describing is the big difference between Russ, between your first solo record and this next one. There were some songs on your debut solo album that did have added instruments and things like that, but with the second one, Come Together, Fall Apart, there's a bunch of ups and downs throughout the whole record, and it just blends everything so beautifully. You can tell that everything's recorded off of feeling and not just, oh, we need to fill this space with something, so we'll just throw something on there and that'll work. It was just kind of like what Bill said. Oh, this needs the marching snare drum sound and things like that. So what were some other like aha moments that you had while recording these songs that you had never would have thought of that part before? Maybe something that Andrew brought to the table, or something else that Bill brought to the table. Russ, what was one of your favorite like aha moments?
I think for me it was a lot more like Andrew engineered all the guitar, and I'd never played that much acoustic guitar in my life, and he had a lot of really good just like stuff from his experience that I was like just ways of strumming through notes, especially like if there was going to be a note that we hit that there was going to be a space after, to like go a little slower across the strings, like a gliss almost. Like he had lots of little like subtle nuanced things that like to me seemed genius, but to him just seemed like common sense for that part, because he's been doing it a lot longer than me. So like I really appreciated that part of it. Also his patience, because I'm not the greatest guitar player, and I had to teach myself how to play like open chords on an acoustic, because I'm not naturally like, I'm a Johnny Ramone, write a good rhythm song and then show Luke how to play it the right way. And then
yeah.
So like the fact that he was patient and forgiving with my playing made things go really smooth for me. But a lot of little things that he suggested, I would be like, oh man, that is awesome. Like that makes such a huge difference. That sounds great. Like, and I'll keep those, now I got those in my brain. So like those were really big for me. And then a lot of times too with like Bill's notes and Bill's feedback on the songs, because like in the macro view, we had 2 weeks to do like 8 billion songs, and so that for sure we weren't going to be able to record all the songs I had demoed. So as we were working, like Bill said, like every day we're getting to it and making sure we're staying on schedule and like rolling up our sleeves. We're also, all of us, keeping our eyes and ears open for like which songs are outliers that we need to like get rid of, so we can like better use our time rather than like wasting time on these songs that probably shouldn't be there at the end. So we had a lot of work to do and a lot of time to do it. But at the same time, nobody was willing to skimp on anything. So we had to really constantly be in our heads like, okay, which songs are going to go, which songs are going to go, and like getting down to like the core of like the material that we all felt good about. So that was really valuable for me too. And like just things Bill would say like, hey, there's parts like after a chorus where I'm hanging out on a note, like there's like a little bit where like there's no singing or anything, like make a guitar lead happen there, like something, like little things like that I hadn't really thought of. and like listening back now, it makes a huge difference. Like those little moments.
Especially, I'm sure, people are from all over the world are gonna hear this record, and
We can only hope.
and I mean, you could play hundreds of shows on this record, but still, you're not going to be able to play to everyone that's actually going to be able to hear the recordings. They're not, if you catch what I'm saying.
Yeah. Is there a question?
No,
Okay.
sorry. I was thinking with
Dude, you just sounded like an attorney.
Oh, fuck.
Now, honestly, I had a brain fart and I completely forgot where I was going with that. So I apologize for that. What was, you're working along all these demos, trying to figure out which one's going to make the final cut. What was one song? Russ, were there any songs that you thought should definitely go, and maybe Andrew and Bill argued that no, this one should definitely stay, or vice versa?
Yeah, the other thing happened, and I remember it being so typically like ever since I've known Bill, because he's forgotten more about like music and good songwriting than I'll ever know. Like I would typically defer always, and like in a good riddance, like he's like the arbiter. Like at the end of the day, like what Bill says goes, and we all trust him. And he and I usually see pretty much eye to eye on like what we consider like, even though music's subjective, it's like what's a good song. Like Bill and I typically will see eye to eye. And there was one song that I really was fond of that I'd written, and it was on waivers. Like it was on the way out. It was going to get axed, and I was bummed. And I was like, well, I want to trust Bill and defer, but I really don't think that I think that the song that he's proposing we keep is not as strong as this song, and that was like a new thing for me to like, do I fight for this song because I really, what if I don't know what I'm talking about, which is, most of the time that's the truth. And
that's when you have to ask someone younger. Yeah, like you ask Andrew, or if Andrew's not young enough, you ask Chris.
Well,
if Chris isn't young enough, you ask Jonathan. If Jonathan's not young enough, you ask one of the interns. You gotta ask people that aren't 50.
That's where the process is good, also, because if you want a song enough to fight for it, that means a lot.
That's true.
But I wasn't sure if it was like a song that was good enough to fight for, or if it's just like I was fond of it because it was a new tack that I'd taken to songwriting that I'd never done before, that I put into practice after watching Rhett Miller's songwriting masterclass online.
Yeah, but Andrew's point's well taken. It's your record, so if it's important to you, that makes it important. It's that simple.
There's so many different points of view on that. Like, when you write a song that you really love, it's obviously your baby, but when it's a hard pill to swallow when a good friend or a renowned producer hears the song that you love so much and they're like, yeah, I don't like it. It's always a hard thing to hear that.
I'm good at it now though. Like I developed a pretty thick skin. Like I want to just keep writing and let people like just if you don't like that one, like I'll just keep writing more. And like I especially, I mean, it kind of depends who's giving you that news. If like Bill or Andrew is giving me that news, like I'm gonna be all ears. But like, if somebody who is massively divergent from me musically and doesn't have any influence on the project says that, then I may not be as considerate of it, or it may not weigh on me as much.
Yeah.
But when these guys say something like, I'm like, wait a minute, like these guys wouldn't pipe up if there wasn't something to this, and like I'm asking them to help me, and these guys both know way more about music than I do, so it's always a really considered thing with this company, and that's the reason that I want to record with them. That's the reason why I love the Blasting Room and all these guys, is like they will make your material better in spite of you.
Yeah, the
In spite of you, no, with you,
Yeah.
along with you.
Despite my best efforts, the album sounds good.
The blasting room is such a staple in punk rock, and that's something I wanted to bring up real quick too. Is that there's currently a Kickstarter for a documentary on blasting room, right? Didn't that just get launched in like the last week or so?
I mean, so yeah, some couple of our buddies are making a movie about the studio. I don't know how the Kickstarter thing is. I don't know much about that.
No, I know. I just wanted to mention like that's how awesome the blasting room is. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna have a documentary.
and it's well deserved, and I cannot wait to see that when it's all out. And I know it's gonna be taking some time still, but
I wonder if Whack-A-Mole will make it in to the doc.
I don't even remember Whack-A-Mole's name. Was it Philippe? Not to be confused with Felipe, but
Yeah.
I think his name was Philippe. Remember we did that? Didn't we do a blasting room shirt where we put like a letter to Philippe on the back or something?
Yes. Yep.
But we called him. Did we call him Dear Whack-A-Mole or Dear Philippe?
I don't remember. I remember that though.
was he an intern of some sort, or
I don't really know. Russ remembers. This is pre-Andrew, and it's so long ago that I don't have a. You can see my thing here. I had a brain tumor. I can't remember it.
yes?
Russ knows.
So who was Whack-A-Mole?
He was an intern the first time we recorded there. And he would, I don't know if he was a sleepwalker, but like we would sleep back then. There wasn't really a proper lounge, so we would sleep in like a tape room or wherever there was like a place to put a sleeping bag. And what we were awoken, like Whack-A-Mole would be like kind of like climbing in on your sleeping bag and like kind of touching your legs and feet and stuff. And then
God.
and then he was also caught red-handed, so to speak, a few times, hence the nickname. That's all we need to really know about him.
Oh man, I really hope he makes it in the documentary. If he doesn't make it, then why are they even making
none of
this?
us know who he is or what happened to him. The one who probably remembers him the best is Uncle Chucky, but Uncle Chucky's not here.
No.
Oh man. Well, that'll be that'll be good. So the important takeaway is Come Together, Fall Apart is coming out in January. It's going to be coming out via Sbäm Records, Cursed Blessing Records, and Satan Records. I know Babel is the first single out now. Everyone should give that a listen to. It's based on Tower of Babel, right, Russ?
Roughly, yeah.
And just kind of refresh my memory. What is the background of Tower of Babel?
I don't really even know, dude. Like, it's supposedly that's the beginning of the many. Like, the world had one language, and then something happened in this place, and there was like dispute, and that's what splintered the languages into all the millions of languages that are out there now. But more like I basically was banging on my guitar, and I came up with that F. And then I just hit the melody on my way to Babel. Melody came into my head, and I decided I had to build a song around it. Like that's how it works for me a lot of the time. I mean, Bill can probably elaborate too. Like sometimes you don't know why these things happen, or you don't set out to write like a song about a specific thing, but the words.
Yeah, a lot of times the song kind of writes you.
Yeah, like the words, the way like 6 or 7 words will fall in a certain melody in your head. And you'll just know that you have to like make there be a song around that.
Yeah, I've experienced that sometimes too, and you're like, where the hell did this come from? But it just happens, It's not like you were a obsessed with the Tower of Babel or anything. It just kind of happened. But it is still a fascinating tale though about Tower of Babel. So everyone needs to go listen to Babel, and then also pre-order the record. I believe pre-order is up for that.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm sure we can't stress enough, be patient on the vinyl. I'm sure that's going to take. I know a lot of manufacturers are still backed up as far as that goes. So lots of patience there.
I can't even get a new. I've been waiting a year for a new microwave. I don't know how the hell they can have vinyl.
You got a point.
Can't even get Windows 95 to work.
No, it's true. It's true.
Funny story. The radio station I work for, we still have computers that have XP on them, and that's no joke.
We still run floppy disks.
Dude, you still got floppies?
Yeah,
Man.
our board's automation runs off floppy disks, and they never crash.
That's a beautiful thing. It really is. So anything else, Russ, Bill, or Andrew? This has been a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed hearing the process.
I feel like
behind
Andrew
this
hasn't
record.
gotten a chance to say a lot.
That's okay. I don't say much.
Well, Andrew, what was your favorite part, being behind the scenes and helping this album take shape? What are some stories or some moments that you remember?
Yeah, the next best thing that I mentioned was a pretty special moment, I thought, and then part of it's just trying not to get in the way of what Russ has to offer. We're talking about adding instrumentation and all this, but part of it is just to capture what Russ has to offer, and when we are all adding certain ideas or instrumentation that we think enhances what Russ is speaking about, or when we're stripping it down, like in certain songs, maybe like Last Conversation, it is to not get in the way of what Russ is playing or singing about or bringing to the table.
Like Andrew saved the day. Like I did a cover of the hockey song by Stompin' Tom Connors for the Curse Blessings EP. It was actually going to be a separate release by Curse Blessings, and it's got this crazy intro that I couldn't figure out on the guitar, and Andrew learned it in a second and showed me how to play it.
That was fun.
And so just things like that where I would have struggled and stayed up all night trying to learn this thing, and Andrew's like, oh yeah, cool, it just goes like this. That helped. I mean, it expedited things, made things easier, and it was such a relief to have somebody that had their head together around that kind of stuff, that was on site doing the project.
Andrew, what are some of the techniques or takeaways from this record that you're excited to try on the next project you do?
We did some blending of where we would take the acoustic guitar, run it through a small amp, in the room, and actually kind of to taste, depending on the song, we would, maybe with some distortion, maybe just with clean verb, blend that into the actual live performance of the acoustic. And that was kind of something I hadn't done that much, which I was pretty excited about how that turned out. You couldn't tell, it was adding something to the acoustic. It wasn't as plain as just an acoustic, but it wasn't, adding electrics onto it either.
So that was that's reamping, right? Is that the?
No, it was while Russ was performing. So
it was while he was performing.
Acoustic, which is going into an amp off in the room,
okay.
And then I would go in and adjust the volume or characteristics of that amp, and it would be picked up in the room mics, in the guitar mics. Some songs didn't have it, some songs did. That was fun. That was a fun technique.
So, Russ, did you perform? Did you sing and play guitar throughout this whole thing? Did you record that at once? Was it live like that, or what?
No, I did all the guitar. I would do guitar during the day, and then Bill would show up, and then Bill and I would do work on vocals in the evenings.
Okay.
Yeah,
I did render some. I would render some scratch. I would render some scratch like vocals. Like sometimes I'd be playing the song, and Andrew would ask me to run through, like not while I was playing, but while I was sitting out there, like to just do a quick scratch vocal, probably for reference and stuff like that.
Yeah. Sorry, Bill. What were you saying?
Oh no, I was just saying I like to do the vocals in not really like long sessions. I like to just do a few hours each day because I feel like that keeps the energy up. So a lot of times it's good for me, like say we're working 8 or 10 hours, to do 6 or 7 hours of guitar or bass or drums or whatever it is, and then do 3 or 4 hours of vocals each day rather than having to do vocals for 6 or 8 or 10 hours a day each day. I don't think those vocals never come out as good.
No, it's like the like that first 2 or 3 hours or whatever are good, and then like the rest of the day.
And then
plus the older we all get. I mean, I'm only good for 3 hours anyways. So.
And then the Skiba clock, the Skiba clock works against you.
The Skiba clock?
Yeah.
So explain the Skiba clock.
Like if you can't get a vocal done in 15 minutes, you're fired.
Is that how that works?
So I'm fired every day, every vocal.
Yeah. Nice. That's a new one. I actually haven't heard that one.
We made it up.
Nice.
Oh, I remember that, Russ. Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah.
Another one of the many inside jokes, I'm sure.
Well, I had forgotten about it. I'm like, Finding Nemo. I'm like Dory.
You're like Dory? Dude. That's one of my son's favorite movies, so yeah, I'm well
He's
aware.
trying to find his son Fabio.
So anything else that you guys want to add on about
I'm
the
out.
new record?
I'm out.
You're out? See, he's had his 3 hours. He's done.
He's done all he can for the company today.
Well, this has been a pleasure. This has been a blast. I can't thank you guys enough for your time, and I'm really excited for the world to hear come together, fall apart, because I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised on what they hear. Hopefully, people like it. But I mean, if any good stuff about this album is because of these two guys in the blasting room, for sure. Another round of applause for Bill and Andrew, for sure. And Jason and Chris. Yes, and Jonathan. Everyone at the blasting room. Yeah.
All right.
You guys have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you very much.
Yep.
See ya.
Bye, Andrew. Bye, Bill.
Good to see you.
Is this thing off?
All right, let's one more time give another round of applause to Russ Rankin, Bill Stevenson, and Andrew Berlin for coming on and talking about Russ's brand new solo album, Come Together, Fall Apart. Once again, if you missed it, comes out January 22nd, 2022 via Sbäm Records in Europe, Cursed Blessing Records in Canada, and then Satan Records here in the U.S. And you can pre-order that record right now. The first single, Babel, is out now on all streaming platforms if you just want to get a taste for what the record is going to be like. And as I said just a minute ago, I know you're going to be pleasantly surprised. It's completely different from Russ's first solo album, Farewell Catalonia. And I know you're going to love it. So make sure you do that. And also, while you're at it, please show our sponsors some love and support, Pop Punk Takeout. It's a monthly subscription box that delivers merchandise from pop punk artists from all over the world directly to your door in a takeout box. And you can choose the bigger version, which is a pizza box, or a smaller version, which is more economical if you're on a tighter budget. It's a Chinese food takeout box, and they fill both of those boxes with all kinds of goodies from well-known artists like MXPX, Krista Makes of Less Than Jake, Keep Flying, along with other artists you may not know, but you would absolutely love their music because it's along the vein of pop punk bands you already love and listen to. So pre-order your box right now. Subscribe now to Pop Punk Takeout by going to poppunktakeout.com. Signing up for your subscription there, and also just staying up to date on everything. Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Pop Punk Takeout. And while you're at it, follow Pop Punk and Pizza, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and TikTok at Pop Punk Pizza Pod. You can catch up on previous episodes, buy merch, so much more at poppunkpizzapod.com. Please drop us a positive rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It really does go a long way. And also, we have a Facebook group that you and I and everyone else that listens to Pop Punk and Pizza can interact with. So if you just search, excuse me, I had a burp. If you just search Pop Punk and Pizza podcast on Facebook, the Facebook group will come up as well as our actual Facebook page. But be sure to join in the Facebook group. It's always a lot of fun to interact with everyone there. And special thanks to Melanie KPR for having this, putting together this special bonus episode of Pop Punk and Pizza. I hope you have a rest of the day or great rest of the night, whatever time of day it is that you're listening to this. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for listening to Pop Punk and Pizza podcast. Until next time.
Hey, hello, it's not